Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we gotta go fast now.
The AL West leading Houston Astros open up a series with division rivals, the Los Angeles Angels, tonight in Daikin Park. The Angels will go with George Klassen on the mound tonight against Christian Javier for Houston. First pitch between the Halos and the Astros is at 7:10 p.m. tonight, and you can listen to it on News Talk 98.5 FM and 1520 AM. Around the AL West tonight, the Athletics will take on the Kansas City Royals. The Seattle Mariners will be at the Milwaukee Brewers, and the Washington Nationals will be at the Texas Rangers. Houston still sits in first place in the division with a 2-game lead over the Rangers. Some bad news for the Saints came out yesterday as it was announced that recent first-round pick Jordan Tyson is expected to be out for around 2 months. The injury that will sideline Tyson is a hamstring injury he sustained last week in practice. Head coach Kellen Moore did tell the media, though, that this injury is separate and not linked to the one he sustained in the spring. The first AP poll of the college football season dropped yesterday, with LSU sitting just outside the top 10 at number 11. The Tigers have ranked inside the top 15 in both major preseason polls, coming in at number 13 in the coaches poll. At the top of the AP rankings, Ohio State takes the number 1 spot, followed by Oregon at number 2, Georgia at number 3, Notre Dame at number 4, and Texas rounding out the top 5. Pete Crow Armstrong made Cubs history last night as he became the first player in franchise history to hit a leadoff and walk-off home run in the same game. He's also the first player since 2010 to accomplish the feat. I'm Blake Persher, and you're listening to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, your home for the LSU Tigers and the Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. Dawson Iserloh prides himself on taking a deep dive to uncover all the relevant data about the sports and sports teams he loves. And now he's sharing all those facts inside his big brain with all of you. Here is the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It is the LohDown, ESPN 103.7 in Lafayette, 104.1 in Lake Charles. We are anywhere you are with the ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app, and I am Dawson Iserloh. I am D-Loh, and I am back here inside the Beal and Hebert studios. Appreciate Jarrett Rozier for jumping in for me the last 2 show days, Friday and Monday. I was in Chicago, Illinois, as a matter of fact. Little last-minute summer getaway before the college football, NFL, and all the chaos gets going here in the fall. So it was great to get away, and I will actually have some thoughts on that trip, as there were some sports related to it. It was not a business trip. It was a vacation, but of course, we made some sports out of it, and there was actually some cool things that went down. So we'll do that in the second hour, because the first hour here of the show today is jam-packed. We have not had a chance since I was out yesterday to talk about the Saints and what their first preseason game looked like. Then we get the added bad news of Jordan Tyson's injury severity as well. So there's going to be plenty of black and gold to start off the show with. We have also begun, if you were with us last week at all, the Preview 32 series, where I take a look at each NFL team with someone who covers the team closely. And we have knocked out a handful of them already. We've got one more to do today, one more to do tomorrow that are already on the books, and potentially some others that could change as well. So today we're going to talk New York Giants. That's why the show tweet featured Jackson Dart. The Giants are an interesting bunch, right? They've got a new coach in the mix who has some pedigree in John Harbaugh. They have a quarterback who showed some flashes last year, but still certainly a lot of question marks to be had there. They've, kind of been struggling for a while now. Is this a potential for a breakout season? I've heard them mentioned as dark horses to win the NFC East. Of course, they'll often get picked to be near the bottom of that division as well. Just depends on who you talk to. So excited to talk with the radio voice of the New York Giants, Lance Meadow, who's been kind enough to do this for us the last couple seasons. He'll be back on with us in just over 10 minutes, as a matter of fact. We're going to do that one a little early at 1:15. 1:30. We welcome on a weekly guest who is back on the LohDown. He once joined us weekly to talk LSU athletics. Now our friend Bryce Kuhn is covering college football as a whole with the Crowded Booth podcast. He's also doing some work over in Athens, Georgia with Glory Glory, which we've talked about with him in the past. But I am excited to officially welcome Bryce back onto the show. We will talk college football in general, and we'll do it weekly at 1:30 on Tuesdays, schedule permitting, of course, for him and for us. So excited to start that up again. So we'll talk with Bryce on some big picture college football questions and topics here at the bottom of the first hour. Second hour, as I mentioned a little bit, going to be a little bit more open. Going to talk about some trip recap stuff, what Chicago was like for me. I have pretty good reviews of the city of Chicago. Enjoyed my time there. But we'll talk about that a little bit. We'll have some time for open phone lines. And we got a lot of kind of emerging and evolving storylines right now, especially with all these football training camps. It's the time of training camp where you hear this sometimes, right? There's a couple different points of camp where you're worried about the injury bug, right? To an extent, you're always worried about it, but there's a few. The first couple days back, because you never know if everybody, look, the majority probably will, but some guys maybe not showing up in the best of shape, right? And so injury risks maybe goes up right when you get and start camp. Then it's about that 2 or 3 week mark where you're starting to have some of the actual fatigue of camp set in. You have some of these joint practices. The workloads are getting ramped up. Full pads are on. The hitting is increasing. That's your second really kind of scary window for injuries to happen for your favorite NFL team. And as we already know, and as I just discussed, the Saints have not been exempt to this. So there are some developing storylines. And it's also the time of year where if you're a veteran player in this league who hasn't signed to a roster yet and you've decided to go ahead and say, you know what, I'm going to see what happens in camp, your phone might be ringing this time of the year. And we've already seen a handful of signings as a result from some names that you're familiar with. Keenan Allen was one who went off the board yesterday. So in the second hour, we're just going to have some time to kind of break down some of these evolving storylines. For now, though, let's get it started with some initial thoughts on the Saints, their preseason performance, and the injury to Tyson. Let's get locked in.
D-Loh is the kind of guy that stays locked in. On what? Well, that depends on the night. But you can guarantee there was some sporting event that he found interesting. It's time to find out what D-Loh was locked in on the LohDown.
So, preseason football Saturday. I will have more on what my Saturday entailed in the second hour, as I alluded to. I actually ended up being at a preseason football game, which was not initially in my plan. But that is for later on in the show. For now, we talk about the Saints. I was not 100% sure I was going to get to watch this game, but I found a way. So we were able to watch the majority of it live and then go back and check out some of the stuff we missed. The Saints did lose the game. That, of course, feels, more like a footnote to this rather than the headline. It was interesting to see some familiar names in there at quarterback for the Jaguars, like maybe a little Joey Aguilar, Carter Bradley, couple Sunbelt alums getting some action. Actually, if you want to count Nick Mullins, he played at Southern Miss, even though I don't think they were in the Sunbelt when he was there. So all three of their guys who tossed the football around were Sunbelt Conference alum. But it's hard to not start the conversation of what we saw from the Saints without talking about Zach Wilson. And you guys know I have no issues talking about Zach Wilson. James is already shaking his head and smiling. It's okay. We knew this time was going to come. I wasn't going to forget just because I was off yesterday to give Zach Wilson some love today. Come on, man. Ball placement. You know what's ironic is the thing that Tyler Shuck does, arguably the best in my opinion, is ball placement. I've kind of been on that train since the post-draft analysis. You're like, man, he kind of just has this weird ability to put a ball right where it needs to be. Zach Wilson is the godfather of that trait, at least in the pre-draft process. He didn't exactly do it all the time in the NFL. Don't look at me like that, James. I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. I'm going to reel myself in on this. I've had a lot of time to digest and think about what I'm going to say about our guy, Zach Wilson. What I enjoyed about it, and I will say the first drive, I was like, this isn't good. This looks like old Zach Wilson stuff, where it kind of felt like predetermined and a throw out to the flat. He had a lack of help from his O-lineman that got some false start penalties, and it was like, what a bad start to this. But then after that first drive, come on. Nick Underhill himself tweeted it, guys. Zach Wilson is cooking, and he was. And so in seriousness, though, when you're talking about a backup quarterback, the things that you want, right, it maybe even differs a little bit from when you're talking about grading out a starter. What you want from a backup is a guy who's going to come in and be able to do the little things well, do the simple stuff, right? Let's complete the check boxes of quarterback basics with our backup. Now, if they have the ability to potentially do something special, that's always an added bonus. But how many guys out there are not a starting quarterback in the NFL, can do all the basics, and can do a little bit of the spectaculars? Well, if they could do all that stuff, they'd be a starting quarterback in the NFL, right? So I am already going to go ahead and acknowledge, because I had a lot of people. I mean, look, it's become well known how my affinity for Zach Wilson, all right? People know that I like Mr. Wilson, okay? And I've done the whole backstory. I won't go through it all again, but this is about when he was a college player is really all of it. I was first to him, so I can't quit the bandwagon. I created the bandwagon, and I got everybody on board, and then it didn't work in New York, but now all of a sudden he's somehow in New Orleans, and this is all full circle. So anyway, Zach Wilson has an uphill climb to win this backup job, even if he looked way better than Spencer Rattler did on Saturday, okay? And why is the reasoning for that? Because the Saints already know who Spencer Rattler is. They've already had an entire year plus with him with this current exact staff, right? And then extended window of what Rattler was in New Orleans before that when he was on the roster and got some starts late in the season where Carr got banged up and all that other stuff went down, okay? And to be honest, what did we learn about Spencer Rattler as a starter last year in the NFL? He was pretty good at taking the basics and not tripping over his own feet on first and second down. But when he struggled was when you kind of had to ask him, hey, let's go make that big-time play on third down, right? And so ultimately, when Tyler Shuck got a chance, some of the things we saw from Shuck was what Rattler wasn't giving you, which is that like escapability, kind of extending some plays, making something out of nothing, all those other things. Spencer Rattler, in my opinion, and I never really did a full conversation on this because, you know, we wanted to see exactly where the roster was going to settle, and I thought maybe there was still a chance Rattler was going to get traded or something like that. Whatever. He's on the roster now. What he showed us in New Orleans last year when he got a chance to start and play was kind of exactly what you want out of a backup. The volatility is not tremendously high. The upside may not be super high either, but that's what a backup quarterback is supposed to provide you. I love the excitement that Zach Wilson can bring, and we saw a little bit of it. He was on one. I mean, those back shoulder throws, the depth he threw with to Barryon Brown on the ball up the sideline. Bub Means, he had those two beautiful kind of front shoulder to the sideline leading throws that Means caught, and then one of them he made a guy miss, got down to the 1 yard line. Some of the like quick RPO type stuff was on time. It was good. So Zach showed you all the stuff that he can be. The entire problem with Zach Wilson, which has been the case since he got to the NFL, has been a consistency thing, right? And so, I'm trying to find out how to articulate this properly. Sometimes an NFL backup quarterback, it's better to be consistently average than it is to be inconsistently excellent. And so far in their NFL careers, albeit very different experiences with very different supporting casts and certainly different circumstances, Spencer Rattler has been more consistently average, and Zach Wilson has been more inconsistently excellent. So I think Zach Wilson still has an uphill climb despite seeing all the positives, right? And that's why a week like this week where you're going out to L.A. and the Saints have the joint practices lined up and then they're going to play the Rams in the preseason, it continues to be increasingly important if Wilson wants to win this backup job that he show it again and again and again. Because having one really great game in the preseason against the Jaguars at home is not going to win him the job on its own, even if I certainly want him to win it. Outside of that, look, Audric Estime looked the part of an NFL running back again, and obviously, you don't want a situation where he's asked to be the lead back again to happen, but Estime looked good, so that was exciting. Bub Means certainly took advantage of the opportunity, as did Barryon Brown. Those guys both look like they could be in the rotation at receiver to start the season with Tyson's injury. And then we'll close with the Tyson injury. And I do want to get to a break because Lance Meadow is going to be with us after it. It's a big-time bummer. And it's the poll question today, so we'll revisit it later. It's not full-blown panic time, but I'm definitely concerned. And that's my answer to the poll question, as we'll talk about later. It is a repeat injury, whether it's related to the other specific one or not. The point is he's had it before and he has it again. That is concerning, and it's kind of the entire thing that we were scared about. But the good news is when he was out there, he was unbelievable in camp, and that's been confirmed by multiple reports. The bad news is he's now not going to be out there for a while, and that's very bad news for the Saints. All right, we'll take the break. Lance Meadow talks New York Giants with us. Preview 32 rolls on after this.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Hello, everyone. This is Jeff Palermo. Join us on Tuesday nights for Tiger Rag Radio. Myself, Todd Horn, and Glenn Gilbo give you the latest happenings in Tiger Town and across the SEC. We talk to coaches, analysts, and those in the know when it comes to the Tigers and the Southeastern Conference. We cover all the sports: football, baseball, basketball, softball, and gymnastics. That's Tuesday nights right here on ESPN 1037 in Lafayette and 1041 in Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Imagine a place where wellness, luxury, and community come together. Welcome to City Club at River Ranch, Acadiana's premier private club. Enjoy a state-of-the-art fitness center, exceptional tennis and pickleball programs, resort-style amenities, and a vibrant social atmosphere. Whether you're pursuing your fitness goals or expanding your social circle, City Club offers an unmatched member experience. Visit cityclubatriverranch.com today. City Club at River Ranch, where lifestyle meets distinction.
It's a great time to get out on the water, and Black's has you covered. Black's Outdoor Marine is Acadiana's Tohatsu Outboard and Low Boats headquarters. Tohatsu Outboards are reliable, affordable, and backed by a 5-year warranty. Black's has low-interest financing and can handle your outboard or mud motor repair. Stop by 1423 Northwest Evangeline Thruway in Lafayette or call 337-233-4272. That's 337-233-4272. Black's Outdoor Marine, serving Acadiana since 1968.
Hi, I'm Nancy Landry. No matter what part of our great state you call home, Louisiana's elections are an important part of who we are. In 2026, closed party primaries will change how some of those elections happen, so you'll want to know what to do. Keeping your registration current ensures you'll get the right party-based ballot. Remember, this change only applies to certain offices.
To learn more, visit govote.com or download the GoVote app.
Paid for by the Louisiana Secretary of State's office.
Oh, look who's here.
Everybody Loves Raymond is on MeTV.
Who told you that?
Raymond!
America's #1 classic TV network.
Nothing even comes close.
Enjoy 2 back-to-back episodes every weeknight.
We're doing it twice.
Watch Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, it's all about you, Raymond.
Weeknights starting at 8 on MeTV.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
Man, I loved playing high school sports growing up. And it's fun being a fan now, don't get me wrong, but sitting in the stands feels like I'm missing out on all the action, you know? I wanted to get back in the game, so I signed up to be a high school official. It takes me back to my playing days. I'm supporting students, and I get paid to make the big calls. Do you want to see the game up close? Sign up to become an official in Louisiana at highschoolofficials.com.
The NFL season is closer than you think. And D-Loh wants to make sure you're prepared once it's here.
I like this kind of party.
It's time for Preview 32 on the LohDown.
Preview 32 continues on, and it's time to talk about the New York Football Giants. We have with us the radio voice of the Giants, Lance Meadow, back on the show. Lance, thank you for doing this. How are you so far today?
I'm doing well, Dawson. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
All right, man. This is a fun offseason for the Giants in some ways. I know it's got to be kind of a large variance in what people are thinking about this team, and that's kind of been what I've been hearing from everything. Like, there's some thoughts this team could be very improved. They get Harbaugh in there. They feel like they're in the right direction from the front office standpoint. But at the same time, so many young players, still a young quarterback who's got some question marks. Just like, what kind of approach are you taking on this team heading into the season?
Well, I think, as you noted, the organization overall feels as if John Harbaugh can provide some stability and consistency, which is exactly what he did in Baltimore when he was there for nearly 20 years. And more often than not, they would get into the playoffs. Remember, the Giants, they've had a flash here or there since they last won the Super Bowl in 2011, but it has been extremely difficult to put together consecutive seasons where, forget about winning football, they've been competitive. So that's where they think Harbaugh comes in and changes the direction. But as you noted, still a lot of work to be done. Also, the Cowboys and the Eagles are not going anywhere within the division. The Commanders are going to get a healthy Jaden Daniels back and a vastly improved defense. Even though the NFC is wide open, the pathway for the Giants still remains challenging. But I think they believe with Harbaugh at the controls and his approach and what he's doing in practice on a daily basis will get them to the point where you have a better idea of what this team is going to show on a weekly basis as opposed to previous seasons where it's been a roller coaster and it's been more of a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde feel.
Jackson Dart, we saw the emergence last year. It was exciting at times. It's kind of funny with the Saints over here. We've kind of probably got a lot of the same feelings about Tyler Shuck. And when Jackson Dart went to the Superdome and played that game against the Saints, that's kind of maybe was a turning point in some for the Saints season, and some of the things that they started to do down the back half with Kellen Moore. What are the feelings around what Dart showed last year and kind of how much more he could potentially show this time around?
Well, last season, Dart showed his athleticism. He showed the fact that he can extend plays. He's a dazzling athlete. I mean, that's the best way to put it. And he plays with the freedom where he's not overly concerned about getting hurt, which is not something that makes them feel warm and cozy inside. I think the philosophy this season is more of getting him to slide and living to see another down. I'm sure from a national scale, some of your audience may be familiar with the play that happened this past Saturday in the preseason against the Vikings. Now, it was actually, ironically, a play where he stood in the pocket. It was a breakdown in picking up a safety blitz by Tyrone Tracy, the running back, and he got hit very hard, and he was sent to the blue tent. They certainly don't want that to happen, Dawson, religiously, week in and week out. So his decision-making, his maturity, those are the growth points that I think are being put under the microscope. But the other thing to take into consideration, and here's the big difference between Tyler Shuck and Jackson Dart, is Shuck is going to be operating in the same offense this season. Dart doesn't have the same luxury. He's got a new coaching staff, but he also has a new system with Matt Nagy at the controls. Brian Dable's no longer here, and that we know just based on NFL history is not necessarily an easy path. I can give you a boatload of quarterbacks who have been through the revolving door of play callers, and it hasn't necessarily done wonders for their career, whether it's a Sam Darnold, a Mark Sanchez, you name it, and I'm not just picking on the Jets. So that's the other thing to monitor with Dart. It's not just necessarily what he flashed last season and his individual development. It's how comfortable he is running a new system in as many years where he doesn't necessarily have as many reps.
We're talking with Lance Meadow, the radio voice of the New York Giants. He's with us here on the LohDown. The draft was certainly exciting with the Giants, the 2 picks in the top 10, one of which was a result of the Dexter Lawrence trade that they made with Cincinnati. So they end up with Arvell Reese and Francis Mauigoa. Even past that, Malachi Fields, a receiver that a lot of people like. What has been the early reviews through camp on this draft class and how much of an instant impact some of these players might make?
Well, Arvell Reese is a freak athlete. I think you can tell that just by seeing him on the field running around, as opposed to him doing any damage from a tackling standpoint. They feel really good about his length. They have him and they have Tremaine Edmonds. So you've got a veteran and a rookie who are going to man the middle of the field. They believe that they have upgraded the linebacker position. Stopping the run was problematic, Dawson, for this team. They were one of the worst in the NFL. They're hoping those two guys can plug the gaps, and Reese also has a knack based on what he did at Ohio State in getting after the quarterback. But, the Giants have a plethora of pass rushers. I think they want him to man the weak side, fill those holes, and stop the run with his length and maybe deflect some passes here or there to see what he could do from that standpoint. So that's the outlook for Reese. As far as the remainder of the draft class, I think there's a few other players to keep close tabs on, one of which is their fellow first-round pick, Francis, or who they call CC Mauigoa, who is going to slide into right guard and play next to Jermaine Luminar at right tackle in year one, and they're throwing him into the Wolves. They're getting him ready to change positions. He was a right tackle and an outside left tackle in college. Now he's going to be on the interior, so he's adjusting to a new position. But the toughness is there. The physicality is there. But as you well know from covering football, playing on the inside is a lot different than the outside. So there is an adjustment period, but he's looked the part thus far in training camp. And then the other one that I think could certainly make some noise in year one is Malachi Fields, the third-round pick, a tall wide receiver who gives them a little bit of a different taste and body than what they previously had. He made a great grab in their first preseason game where Dart threw up a Hail Mary, and Fields used his tiptoes to secure it. So that's the dimension they're hoping that he brings to the table, and he's already shown glimpses of that. Those are the three that I think, just based on pure playing time, are going to have an opportunity to get right in. Colton Hood, their second-round pick at defensive back, corner, he's going to get an opportunity to compete for playing time, but they also have some veterans in the mix, and I'm just not so sure how quickly he's going to adapt in maybe being as opportunistic of a player we saw at LSU. So that's the foursome of the group, but I think three, we should see some impact in the early stages of this season.
It kind of goes hand in hand, Lance, and you can take this in any direction you want, but we've got two repeating questions we're asking this year when we preview teams. The first one, in your opinion, who's the most important player on this roster and why?
Wow. Well, the low-hanging fruit would be to just go with the quarterback and say Jackson Dart, but they do have Jameis Winston as a respectable backup. So I don't think it's necessarily the end of the world if, God forbid, Dart got hurt, because they're in much better shape than we've seen in recent history. And last season, Dart missed time, and we saw what Winston was capable of doing. So I'm not going to go with the low-hanging fruit. I'm going to go with a player who's returning from a significant injury, and that's Malik Neighbors, who we have yet to bring up on this conversation. The torn ACL that cut short his season a year ago. He started to take part in team drills the other day, which is promising, but they've lacked weaponry outside of Neighbors at wide receiver. And based on just how defenses approach offenses in the NFL, it's a generic, trite statement, but every defensive coordinator is going to look at the opposition each week and say, who can we not afford to have damage this game? And if you don't have Malik Neighbors on the field, Dawson, I'm sorry, but I just don't think the Giants have enough punch right now to put fear in the eyes of opposing defensive coordinators. I think Isaiah Likely is going to be a hugely targeted player coming over from the Ravens as the number one tight end for the Giants, but he doesn't necessarily stretch the field the same way that Neighbors does. So they need Neighbors healthy, they need him to stay durable, and they need him to be a consistent playmaker that forces defenses to shift their thinking. So I think without hesitation, it's got to be their number one wideout coming off a very significant injury.
I am glad that you brought Neighbors up there, because I was certainly going to ask you about him, a local product from right here in the Acadiana area.
Sure.
We'll close it with somebody who's under the radar, Lance, who's somebody who maybe isn't getting enough love nationally that you think could make a big impact on this Giants team in 26.
Well, in order to be balanced, we'll go on the defensive side of the ball. And if this is going to be a defense that Denard Wilson, their new defensive coordinator, is going to rely heavily on stopping the run and aggressive cornerbacks at the line of scrimmage, given the fact that they traded away Dexter Lawrence, and he was hurt in previous years, and they couldn't stop the run even with him on the field. But I'll go back to, Dawson, the point they made about Malik Neighbors. Dexter Lawrence drew attention. He drew double teams. He gave offenses a reason to put multiple bodies, which then frees up the likes of Brian Burns and Abdul Carter and Kayvon Thibodeau. They need somebody else to fill that place and give offenses a reason to fear. So there's two guys. So I'm going to cheat a little bit with respect to my response. DJ Reader, a veteran defensive tackle who doesn't get huge sacks, but actually has done a nice job with the Bengals and the Lions and has drawn double teams. He's one guy. And then the other guy is on the younger side of his career is Darius Alexander, who they have high hopes for, third-round pick in 2025. showed some flashes late last season. Still not enough to know exactly what they're going to get out of him game by game, but they need those two guys to perform at the level where they're disruptive. They're not going to put up monster numbers. DTs don't normally do that. But they've got to eat up space. They've got to make it easier for the second layer of this defense to slow down and stop the run. So I'm sure those are two players that are not necessarily household names that everybody is going to line up or worry about drafting in fantasy, because you normally do a defense as opposed to individuals. So I think they fit the bill. Darius Alexander, DJ Reader would be my answer.
It is good stuff, as always. Lance, can't thank you enough for doing this. The season's getting close. I know we're all getting excited about it, so appreciate you, and we'll talk again during the season.
Sounds good, Dawson. Appreciate you having me on. Thanks.
That's Lance Meadow talking New York Giants. They are team number 4. I like his answer, by the way, about Malik Neighbors, because we all know around here how special he is when he's right, and they've got to hope he's going to be right again. And that's going to be a big-time thing for the Giants. So the Bucs, the Bears, the Falcons, and the Giants are officially through on Preview 32. We've got 28 teams left to go, though. Next up, by the way, the Baltimore Ravens on tomorrow's edition of the LohDown. For now, let's take a break. We've got our guy Bryce Kuhn on the other side.
Is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit B1Bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we gotta go fast now.
The AL West leading Houston Astros open up a series with division rivals, the Los Angeles Angels, tonight in Daikin Park. The Angels will go with George Klassen on the mound tonight against Christian Javier for Houston. First pitch between the Halos and the Astros is at 7:10 p.m. tonight, and you can listen to it on News Talk 98.5 FM and 1520 AM. Around the AL West tonight, the Athletics will take on the Kansas City Royals. The Seattle Mariners will be at the Milwaukee Brewers, and the Washington Nationals will be at the Texas Rangers. Houston still sits in first place in the division with a 2-game lead over the Rangers. Some bad news for the Saints came out yesterday as it was announced that recent first-round pick Jordan Tyson is expected to be out for around 2 months. The injury that will sideline Tyson is a hamstring injury he sustained last week in practice. Head coach Kellen Moore did tell the media, though, that this injury is separate and not linked to the one he sustained in the spring. The first AP poll of the college football season dropped yesterday, with LSU sitting just outside the top 10 at number 11. The Tigers have ranked inside the top 15 in both major preseason polls, coming in at number 13 in the coaches poll. At the top of the AP rankings, Ohio State takes the number 1 spot, followed by Oregon at number 2, Georgia at number 3, Notre Dame at number 4, and Texas rounding out the top 5. Pete Crow Armstrong made Cubs history last night as he became the first player in franchise history to hit a leadoff and walk-off home run in the same game. He's also the first player since 2010 to accomplish the feat. I'm Blake Persher, and you're listening to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, your home for the LSU Tigers and the Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit B1Bank.com to find a location near you. Do you need more of the fellas here on Southwest Louisiana's sports station? Of course you do. So go make sure and subscribe to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles YouTube channel at ESPN_SWLA. Don't forget to turn that bell on so you get notifications for new episodes of 4 Tire Change Podcast, where Dawson Iserloh talks all things NASCAR, or Cleats and Sneaks with James Mesh. Get yourself more of Southwest Louisiana's sports station at ESPN_SWLA on YouTube.
Did you know you can get great tasting Clear Springs artesian water delivered to your office or your doorstep at home? Clear Springs is 100% local with their own bottling facility at the world-famous Kentwood Aquifer, no chemicals added. Just pure Kentwood, Louisiana artesian water. Clear Springs Water offers delivery of 5 or 3 gallon water service with a hot and cold temperature water cooler, or even single-serve bottles delivered to your home or office. Easy to reach, clearsprings.net, then contact us tab, or 337-519-3563.
Do you love to golf? Well, then it's time to make September your month at Farm D Alley Golf Club. For just $550, enjoy unlimited weekday golf all month long. That's every Tuesday through Thursday with cart included. No extra fees. Just great golf on one of Acadia's premier courses. Whether you're sharpening your game or simply enjoying the outdoors, the September weekday pass is an incredible value. Don't miss out. Call Farm Alley Golf Club today or stop by the Pro Shop. Farm Alley Golf Club, play more, save more, all September long.
Hi, I'm Nancy Landry. No matter what part of our great state you call home, Louisiana's elections are an important part of who we are. In 2026, closed party primaries will change how some of those elections happen, so you'll want to know what to do. Keeping your registration current ensures you'll get the right party-based ballot. Remember, this change only applies to certain offices.
To learn more, visit GoVote.com or download the GoVote app.
Paid for by the Louisiana Secretary of State's office.
MeTV is America's #1 classic entertainment television network. And here's one of the reasons everybody loves MeTV.
Oh, it's a classic.
The great comedy lineup on weeknights.
This will be fun. Come on.
With MASH.
Loaded with snappy comebacks.
The Andy Griffith Show.
I was just funning with Barney.
And Everybody Loves Raymond.
Now we got a show.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on Channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
When you're finally off the clock after a long day, dishes put away, kids asleep, feet kicked up, heartburn. Don't let heartburn take over your hard-earned moment. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Alka-Seltzer effervescent tablets begin neutralizing stomach acid in seconds, so you can get back to your one more episode marathon. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Because nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Use as directed.
Do yourself a favor and download the free ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app, powered by Moss Motors BMW for your Android or Apple devices. Download the app by searching ESPN 1037 Lafayette or ESPN 1041 Lake Charles. It's just that easy to take Southwest Louisiana's sports station with you wherever you go.
All right, the LohDown rolls on here. We are welcoming back our friend Bryce Kuhn onto the show for our weekly college football conversations. He is, of course, with the Crowded Booth podcast. You also know he's been doing stuff with Glory with the Georgia Bulldogs over there. But we now get a chance to talk college football in general with him. Bryce, what's going on, man? How's the offseason treated you so far?
Man, I'm just ready for the start of the season. Obviously, fall camp in full swing, no doubt about the excitement level that I think fans across the country have. And what is it next week? We've got week 0, which, hey, the slate's not it's not too thin. We've got obviously the Ireland game and then a nice little ACC matchup, I believe, North Carolina State and Virginia. So, it's the appetizer for what the rest of the year is going to be is going to be really nice.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, man. Like, it's an off season where, and maybe it's been like this for the past few off seasons, but so many different conversations that are kind of maybe just frustrating to rehash out. I'm like, we more than ever just need football to happen so we can talk about that as opposed to talking about, lawsuits and judges in friendly decisions and player eligibility. Let's talk about like third down conversion rates. What do you think?
No, I'm with you. I think the biggest thing when you look at just the conversations this time of the year is you want to get all that out of the way during coaches and spring meetings and everything that happens down in Destin and the SEC there in March. And then when you obviously turn around and it's July, you and I were in Tampa, and then a few weeks later, the news about the 5 for 5 and guys maybe being able to come back. Like, I think for a lot of people, it's just like, come on, like, we're so close to the season. Let's just roll. Let's just talk college football, games on the field. Let's talk about conversion rate. Let's talk about that pass rusher that your favorite team needs to emerge. Things like that. Not is this guy going to be able to just jump right in the mix immediately and be eligible in week 3 of fall camp?
Well, with you on that. All right. We did get the AP poll, and it's our last bit of like, hey, we don't quite have anything real yet, so we're going to kind of manufacture some stuff, but there is some logic behind it, maybe things to talk about. What jumped out to you about the biggest poll? I've got a couple observations, but I'll let you go first if anything was significant to you about where these teams were ranked.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, first off, not to dodge the question, but I think in general it's understanding what this poll is and, the weight that it carries, in terms of what happens 4, 5, 6 weeks from now. I think that's the biggest thing. And understanding, hey, this is a poll that for some people sets the standard of expectations. It sets the standard of what they want their favorite team, and, I'll pick on the SEC here, their favorite conference, just how they want that to be weighted. But when I look at that AP poll, for me, it was really more of the things of I didn't have a massive problem with anything necessarily at the top. There's nothing that stands out of like, hey, I understand how you came to that conclusion. I will say, and I think this conversation was kind of generating on social media as well, the 20 to 25, to me, it's just kind of a crapshoot, Dawson. Like, you can literally just rotate teams 20 through like 35 in those final 5 spots in the AP poll, and I don't think anybody, would bat an eye. I don't think anybody would, I don't want to say care, but I think it's just one of those things where if you're ranked 22, are you really that much better in the preseason based off of what you have on paper than a team that's ranked 32nd? Like, what is the line of delineation? What's the difference maker? So I think for me, that's just the biggest thing in general. Like, it's the back half of the rankings, always very interesting to kind of see how they come up with it and who's slotted in those final 5 or so spots.
It's a very true thing you bring up, and it's, like people put those joking AP polls that they'll put together after the season, trying to project it out, and they'll just have like number 9 will be like the 4th worst SEC team that people are somehow falling in love. Like, they just slot them out. You start to get some of that, right? Well, who has this quarterback that we saw at a previous stop that we don't know a ton about? Who's got like the next hot offensive coordinator? I have one picked out for you, though, Bryce. It's a team that for a while, and you could certainly argue last year, although there was some legit, first-round projected players who didn't work out, Clemson's been getting the benefit of the doubt for a long time now. They are out of the AP top 25. Now, they're the first team receiving votes, so they're only 26. But the headline sounds better when you say Clemson's not in the AP top 25 preseason poll for the first time in however many years. Are people getting it wrong, or is it right to go, hey, why are we still trusting this team when they've shown us year in and year out that they're not what they were a decade ago?
No, I think it is fair. I have major questions at the quarterback position for them. The one thing you should look over the past 5 or 6 years has been you could pretty much pencil in and say, hey, they're going to have a returning incumbent guy that you have a base level of trust for at quarterback. Now, whether you want to debate the validity of what Cade Klubnik was, you could always sit there and say, hey, he's a guy that is going to have a floor that you can believe in to some extent. Chris Vizina, whoever it's going to be suiting up in Death Valley, the real Death Valley, I'll throw LSU fans a bone there because I do believe that, there in September, that's going to be the really interesting part to this because you don't necessarily have that proven commodity at quarterback that I think the casual voter, the casual college football fan could say, yeah, they're going to have some question marks at receiver. They're going to have question marks maybe at this spot, but we kind of know who's going to be playing quarterback for them. That to me is probably the big storyline, I think, that pushed them out of the top 25. And then, like what you said, is you take that and you bake in this concept of they've underachieved. And I think that kind of caught up with them. Now, does that mean to me that I think they're the 50th best team in the country? No. But I definitely see, and that's probably my biggest indicator, is the lack of what you know at quarterback this year probably pushes them down a peg to where it's like, hey, even last year when LSU went up there, we thought that was a really good football team. You could at least say, okay, they've got some first-round talent, Avion Terrell. They've got guys in the middle of the defense that can do some things. In Cade Klubnik, outside of that, you didn't really know. This year, I think it's much more of like you don't really know what the floor of Clemson is because they don't have that proven commodity they can fall back on.
Kind of along the exact same lines. I read very similar headlines out of this AP poll. First time Alabama hasn't been top 10 in the last however many years. And then same thing. I look to it and go, well, quarterback position. Now, we didn't know about Ty Simpson this time last year, and he ended up having a really good season for them. But once again, we've got question marks there. There's obviously been this desire by some people who just have had Alabama fatigue to just be ready for the collapse. And the bottom hasn't fallen out yet, but there's been moments to be nervous about it, right? Is this a year where the bottom might fall out in Tuscaloosa, or do they remind us that they're a premier brand for a reason? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting conversation, and if you and I were sitting face-to-face in a debate, I think the biggest thing I would ask is define bottom falling out. What does that look like at a place like Alabama? Because for the fan base, it's an 8-4 season. For other programs, it's a missing a bowl game. It's 6-6, something like that. So do I think, let's put it in my definition, is 8-4 the bottom falling out? I think that's very possible. Look, Alabama is not, from a roster standpoint, what they were 3 years ago. Now, you can equate that and you can put it on the shoulder of Kalen DeBoer. That's totally, I understand that. And to an extent, I agree with it. You can also point to the rev share NIL world that we live in now, and they, just like a program where I'm at now in Georgia, you can't stack 5-star talent, you're too deep. So it does make you much more susceptible when you have injuries, when you have guys underperform, and that guy that you could turn on the bench and look at, you could say, hey, he's just as good, or the floor is going to stay about the same. I think that's the biggest game changer and difference for me with this roster. I've got questions about their front seven, the depth there. That's something they've always boasted about. And then obviously I think the low-hanging fruit is the quarterback situation. Is Keelan Russell the guy? Is Austin Mack the guy? What does Keelan Russell's ability to run the football and move around the pocket give you something that you need at this stage of Alabama football? What does that look like? But I think 8-4 is very much in the wheelhouse. I think I projected them in our latest show. I don't have them making the playoff, and I think that would be for a lot of, and maybe most of Alabama's fans and donors, that is the bottom falling out. That is something that would be unacceptable for Kalen DeBoer this year. So it's very interesting how the schedule matches up when you look at that team. I don't think that roster is as deep as they are, and I don't know if the top-end talent is where you can just – which what they've done for so long, even – in Kalen DeBoer's first couple of years, they can roll the ball out there and go beat some people. I think they're pretty – they can – we always say this, they can go get God, right? That's not the correct grammar or spelling or however you want to say English, but they can go get got by anybody on that schedule. And I think that's what makes Bama fans nervous, and a lot of media surrounding them thinking, hey, this could be an interesting, really, really interesting 2026 season.
I want to go back to a statement you made there, and you've, of course, had an up-close and personal view at what Georgia's been trying to do, which is, as we said, understand that it's not the same way where they could stack talent in the depths of their roster, but yet they have done a better job than most, right, of being a program that's at that powerful state and still sticking around and being preseason AP top 5 again this year, perhaps another example of it. How are they trying to go about it, given that it's obviously got to be done differently than it was 5-6 years ago?
Well, I think proof of concept is one of the biggest things that you can pitch nowadays in recruiting is, hey, if we're not going to be the elite spenders, and Georgia's not that, they're not Oregon, they're not Texas Tech, they're not any of the Texas schools, they're not Ohio State, they're not LSU this upcoming year. When you're not one of the elite spenders, you've got to have another angle. And Georgia's angle right now is, hey, we're the back-to-back SEC champions, which is still something to boast about. We are a perennial playoff team at this point in our career, and this point of the 12-team playoff. We're going to be there. If you want to come be a part of something, you're going to get paid, but you're going to earn your way, and you're going to be a part of a culture that, here's probably the third point, that's going to churn out NFL players. And I think that's just the biggest thing. When you look across, and I encourage people, it probably sounds like, propaganda to say this, but go look at some of the preseason games that we're going to see. Whether the guys make the 53-man or not, the Georgia logo, the concept of playing here with whatever your sample size was, it's still very much appreciated at the next level. And so I think when they sit down with kids, look, there's some kids that are going to say, hey, this is what I'm in it for the money to re-up. There's kids that have come here and left because of that. That's fine. I think Kirby Smart's okay with that. He understands the way that he wants to build his program. But the kicker is when you can get a kid that understands, hey, I'm going to be, and I use this phrase lightly, fairly compensated, but I'm also going to have a really good shot, however my workload is in Athens, to have a chance to make an NFL roster and realize that dream. That selling point still works for kids. I think that's the big thing that separates Georgia from a program like Alabama right now, is that it's not that they're not going to make it to the NFL, but Kirby Smart's endorsement means a lot. And I would say I think Kirby Smart's endorsement means more than Kalen DeBoer's. So when you turn around and you can have that, you can have the endorsement of a Mike Bobo or someone on the staff that wears that G, people respect that at the next level. And even talking with scouts, it still sticks for people. They'd rather take a kid from Georgia that maybe a 3 or 4 year starter that has a higher floor than a project. So it's something I think they've done a good job at. And I'll add one more thing, too. The concept of not really paying players an exorbitant amount as a freshman. Georgia's not interested in getting in crazy bidding wars over high school seniors. And you're seeing that play out in the recruiting rankings right now. It's not something they're going to do. So it's really a earn your keep thing here in Athens. I think that is, it's not for everybody. Does it guarantee you a national title? No, nothing does. Especially you and I've talked a lot about this. Probably harder to go win a national title than it has ever been to navigate that playoff. But I think that's a couple of the reasons why they've been able to have that. Now, if that falls off, they're going to have to go back and reinvent themselves in a different way. They have benefited in a way. Yes, they've been hurt by not being able to stack talent, but I think that proof of concept has been their biggest ally so far through the 12-team playoff.
It is good stuff, and it's only the beginning, Bryce. I'm excited to have you back, man. Excited. We get to widen our horizons, talk about anything that interests us on the segment. So I look forward to it, buddy. We'll be talking soon.
Let's do it, man, and don't be afraid to sprinkle in a little Sunbelt football here and now, too, man. Let's roll. We've got college football at every single stadium across the Southeast here in a couple weeks.
There we go. That's our guy, Bryce Kuhn. He'll be joining us weekly in this same time slot. All right, we're overdue for a break. Let's knock one out. We'll close out hour one, get you a poll question introduction next.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
You can take ESPN Southwest Louisiana Sports Station wherever you go with the ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app powered by Moss Motors. All you have to do is search ESPN 103.7 Lafayette, download it, and you're good to go. That way, no matter where you are, you can listen to Southwest Louisiana Sports Station.
ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is the proud winner of 4 2026 LAB Prestige Awards, including Best Use of Digital Media, Foot's Friday Fury, Best Live On-Site Remote for our Super Bowl Radio Row coverage, Best Promotion for our No Shave November initiative, and Radio Young Professional of the Year for Dawson Iserloh. We're proud of being Southwest Louisiana's sports station and are humbled to be recognized by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters.
Before hitting the road, get hooked up at Match Trailers on Bertrand Drive. Everything you need from truck equipment, accessories, and trailer parts, Match Trailers has it. Match Trailers, 1849 Bertrand Drive in Lafayette, or give Matt a call at 235-7534.
Misfits Dine and Drink, a destination restaurant in Broussard, is constantly evolving. Dine in for great food and a great atmosphere. Whether it's lunch, dinner, or brunch on Saturday or Sunday, stop in to enjoy a handmade gourmet pizza or one of their delicious pastas. Take a sip of their new and seasonal craft cocktails and mocktails. And don't forget dessert. Try the birthday cake bread pudding. Whether it's new menu items or old favorites, come to Misfits for a great food experience. It's classic Italian with a modern twist. Misfits Dine and Drink, 200 Heritage Parkway off Highway 90 in Broussard.
Hi, I'm Nancy Landry. No matter what part of our great state you call home, Louisiana's elections are an important part of who we are. In 2026, closed party primaries will change how some of those elections happen, so you'll want to know what to do. Keeping your registration current ensures you'll get the right party-based ballot. Remember, this change only applies to certain offices.
To learn more, visit GoVote.com or download the GoVote app.
Paid for by the Louisiana Secretary of State's office.
Your Honor, I would like to introduce exhibit number 1.
MeTV is America's #1 classic television network.
There can only be one number 1, me.
MeTV features over 60 of the greatest classic TV series each week.
Go with the winner.
Enjoy dramas, comedies, westerns, sci-fi, and more.
You just watch me.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on Channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
MeTV is memorable entertainment television.
Delta Home Center and Delta Trailer Sales, your one-stop shop for utility and cargo trailers, heavy-duty dump and gooseneck trailers, portable buildings, cabins, decks, porches, fences, carports, and site-built metal shops. Located at Exit 7 in Carencro or at deltatrailersales.com.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight illnesses like pneumococcal pneumonia and RSV. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and can help protect you from getting really sick. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. See more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
You're listening to the 2026 LAB Award winner for Radio Young Professional of the Year, Dawson Iserloh, the host of the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
All right. The first hour's winding down, but it's okay. We got a full open hour in the second hour. If you want to get your thoughts in, by the way, the ESPN hotline will be open, 337-706-0111. I will start it off. I've got some travelogue type things to go through. I was in Chicago for the last 4 days, had a great time, did attend 2 professional sporting events while I was there, one of which I had no plans to go to, and things just happened. It was cool. But we do want to close out the first hour with our poll question. What was your reaction to the Jordan Tyson injury? Of course, you've heard by now, Jordan Tyson's going to be out, looks like around 2 months. Certainly, it seems like he's going to miss, at the very least, the entire month of September in the start of the regular season. Some point in October feels like the best chance for his return. And, it's layered, but I think a lot of the concern, and dare I use the word panic around this situation, is that Tyson has already a pretty detailed injury history that limited his production at times throughout his collegiate career. And that was a big-time concern going into it. So right now, 48% of you in the voting are very concerned. 27% are okay. You're not there yet. It's good to know. More than a quarter of the audience, more than a quarter of the Saints fans out there are still feeling all right. 18% are full-blown panic. And 7% think it's literally not a big deal at all. Guys get hurt all the time. What's the big deal? I'm in the category of very concerned with almost half of you. So I am in the majority when it comes to the voting right here. I just think, if Tyson didn't have this detailed injury history that also includes 2 other hamstring pulls, I'd probably be okay with it, right? And there's injuries are so difficult to talk about because they're so situational and they're so unreliable when it comes to information. None of us are in the doctor's office with Jordan Tyson. Nobody was there with him. I guarantee it. Nobody talking about it right now was sitting next to him when the doctor said, hey, here's what I think about your injury, which, by the way, he reportedly got multiple different opinions on. And the conclusion eventually was, yeah, you got to shut it down for a little while. But at the same time, I do believe in a few principles along the subject. Past injuries, the best indicator we have of future injury, especially when it comes to muscle injuries and not, broken bones, things of that nature. And so that just makes a guy who's had multiple hamstring injuries way more concerning than one who's had maybe a finger deal here and a turf toe there, and you can kind of just separate the injuries and go, hey, maybe this guy has just had a few bad breaks. That doesn't feel like what it is with Tyson. It feels more significant than that, and that's very scary. That's very scary. So that's how I'll close the first hour. We will recap my trip to Chicago. We'll open up the phone lines. We'll have a fun hour number 2 here, kind of laid back and casual on a Tuesday. That's next. Stay tuned. You're listening to the LohDown at ESPN Southwest Louisiana.
Around Acadiana, community means supporting the businesses that make our hometown special. That's why we're proud to spotlight local companies that are certified South Louisiana.
Delta Home Center and Delta Trailer Sales, your one-stop shop for utility and cargo trailers. Heavy-duty dump and gooseneck trailers, portable buildings, cabins, decks, porches, fences, carports, and site-built metal shops. Located at Exit 7 in Carencro or at deltatrailersales.com.
When you support local businesses, you strengthen the communities we call home. Shop local, support local. Certified South Louisiana.
And now time for the Expert Minute, brought to you by Sugarland Exterminating.
Ever wonder why bugs seem to love your home as much as you do? One big reason: moisture. Roaches, termites, and ants are drawn to damp areas. Check under sinks, around windows, and in attics for leaks and excess moisture. A little home maintenance goes a long way in keeping pests out. Got unwanted guests? Call Sugarland Exterminating at 337-367-1414 or visit sugarlandexterminating.com for more information.
Sugarland Exterminating. Pest-free environment we're creating. Spiders, roaches, rats, and mice. Those awful termites are not so nice. Get rid of all your pests right now. Call Sugarland Exterminating.
Termites, they're here. They're invasive. They can destroy your home if left untreated. Sugarland Exterminating has been in business for over 50 years, and they have the experience to effectively treat termites. Call 367-1414 or visit sugarlandexterminating.com.
And that has been your Expert Minute, brought to you by Sugarland Exterminating.
Ready to transform your backyard into the summer paradise you've always dreamed of? With Duplessis Builders custom gunite pool packages, we make it simple to own a stunning, long-lasting, in-ground pool built just for you. Choose from classic designs, all customizable to fit your space, style, and budget. Our pools come with quality finishes, energy-efficient equipment, beautiful lighting, and professional installation from excavation to decking, so you can dive in before the next heat wave hits. Don't just dream it, build it. Visit duplessisbuilders.net.
Live from Upper Lafayette, this is ESPN 1037 KLWB Carencro Lafayette, KLCJ-FM Oak Grove Lake Charles 1041, a Delta Media station.
I'm Sean Ryder, the founder of ESPN. Bill Rasmussen has passed away at 93 years old. He launched ESPN in 1979 as the world's first 24-hour TV network. Turning to the NFL, and Commissioner Roger Goodell told a German media outlet that the league will eventually have a team permanently based outside the U.S. Giants are signing former Steelers running back Najee Harris to a one-year deal. Baseball, the Dodgers are 75-51, but have struggled some over the past month and a half. Royals analyst and former first baseman Eric Hosmer on those struggles.
When you hear Dave Roberts, the manager of the Dodgers, speak in his press conferences, he is trying to wake up his players, man. Like, you can see he is not happy the way they're playing. It's one of those things where it's like, hey, we set the standard here. We're playing against ourselves, not the other team, and we're not playing up to our standard. So to hear Dave Roberts say that, that's kind of that wake-up call before October here, and you can't just turn it on. We got to be playing good going into October.
Eric Hosmer on the Pat McAfee Show. Diamondbacks placing all-star second baseman Ketel Marte on the restricted list after he was a no-show for last night's game against the Red Sox in Boston.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ Chris Candy. Coming on Wednesday, the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen are still searching for a Super Bowl appearance. I'll tell you if they finally break through this season. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Dawson Iserloh prides himself on taking a deep dive to uncover all the relevant data about the sports and sports teams he loves. And now he's sharing all those facts inside his big brain with all of you. Here is the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It is the LohDown, hour number 2 of 2 here. We are hanging out on a Tuesday afternoon. It is August the 18th. That means football is near. We know that. We've got full slates of NFL preseason games on the weekends nowadays. The college football regular season officially starts a week from Saturday. It'll be week 0. We will have a whole bunch of games in the Southland Conference because they're like, you know what? Let's just fully embrace week 0. So McNeese and plenty of others will be playing. You got the Ireland Classic that they're kind of trying to make a thing these days. You got an ACC matchup. So you got some games in week 0, and then we know it's full press, full swing ahead the following week with week 1 action. So we are getting close to it all. A lot of kind of random stories, some of which are cool, some of which are, sad on a Tuesday. So I thought this second hour would just kind of be wide open for us. No guests lined up or anything like that. We're just hanging out here in the studios. But so if you want to give your thoughts, give us a call, 337-706-0111. But I will start with a little recap of the weekend that was had by me, at least the sporting side of it. So I went to Chicago with the wife. First time ever being in that city. Was planned a while back and was just, kind of perfect timing. Last little trip before the fall hits us, and we don't have a whole lot of time to get away in an industry like this one. So the biggest thing on the itinerary, the one non-negotiable, was Wrigley Field. My wife grew up a Cubs fan, so, she's not by any means like any sort of diehard baseball fan. I don't know how many players on the roster she could have told you about, but when they're on, she'll watch them. And, of course, when the playoffs come around, she gets a little more excited about it. So, for me, no doubt, it's one of the most historic venues in the history of the sport. So obviously I wanted to see Wrigley Field. They're proud of what they've built at Wrigley. I'll tell you, from a pricing standpoint, tickets, I couldn't believe it. Now, they are really good right now. They were playing the Cardinals, who is one of their biggest rivals, right? Their biggest rival ever. So I'm sure that contributed to it. But my goodness, the money that was spent on a weekend in Chicago, unbelievable. But that's not the point. The point is Wrigley does live up to like what it's supposed to be. Ate lunch at the Billy Goat Tavern, famed place down there, of course. The original curse of the Billy Goat related to it, and its owner way back in the day, in the 19th or the 20th century, the early 20th century. That was cool. Wrigleyville, it's got a cool feel to it because, like, I've been to the Battery in Atlanta, the area outside the stadium, right, that they've built into this kind of entertainment megaplex, which is so new and modernized. Wrigleyville did feel like, hey, this is still this, like, old school neighborhood from the 20th century that we've kind of put a new touch on, right? And so that was really, really awesome as well. As for the actual stadium, it does capture that mix of history, right? It does feel like you're in a ballpark from a different time, from a different era. Yet it wasn't like fully absent of modern amenities. Again, they certainly have modernized their concession prices, maybe in a bad way for consumers. But no, like it lives up to all of those different things about feel. It was a 1:20 Friday game, which is, of course, tradition down there, or up there. I say down there. It's definitely a lot farther north than us. We know that. To experience the whole 1:20 thing was cool because it's clearly something that people are so ingrained with. I imagine it's just part of, like, the workplace. Like, people are just going to take a lot of Fridays off, I guess, when you work in Chicago, because it was a packed house. I mean, legitimately not an empty seat. It was a sellout from the beginning. And, sometimes it's like, oh, it's a sellout, but, like, there'll probably be 5,000, 6,000 empty seats. I didn't count very many of them. It was packed. It was lively. It was a good atmosphere. The weather was supposed to be a little dicey. Everything held off until at least the next day. So the day that I was there, which was Friday, was cool. Cubs did win the game. Low-scoring game, but they pitched it very well. They played some good defense. Pete Crow Armstrong did not have a big day, but he would save that big day for yesterday. My goodness, PCA was unbelievable yesterday. So my overall review of Wrigley is it certainly lived up to the expectations of being this historical venue. I haven't been to a ton of big league ballparks, though. I think, like, I've been sharing that stuff on social media. This now only 4. I have doubled that number in the last week or so. But yeah, Wrigley's right up there with Dyken Park. I have a special place, Dyken Park, Minute Maid, formerly known as, has a special place for me because it's the first big league park I ever saw, and I've been there so many different times and seen playoff games and seen big games there. But it's certainly right up there. So shout out to Wrigley Field. Cool experience. Chicago food. We'll do that quickly. The Chicago-style hot dog. Passing grade in my book. Solid thing. I don't know if I'd go out of my way to get it in any other situation, but I would probably take it over a regular hot dog. I think I'd do that. James Mesh, are you familiar with the Chicago dog? Have you ever had one, whether or not? I don't know if you've been there.
Yeah.
You've been to Chicago.
Yeah, I went to Chicago when I was either 6 or 7.
Oh, so a little bit of a youngster at that age. But the Chicago dog, any lasting memories of it?
I remember trying it at one point. I mean, I liked it.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly everything on it, but
well, it's got relish, which the weirdest thing to me is that the relish has this like neon bluish green color to it, and I was like kind of looking at it like that's not really the color of relish. And then I Googled it, and apparently like they actually put something in it to make it brighter because the original creator of it just thought it would look better in pictures if it was like a different shade as opposed to like the dull green that relish is. And I was like, so we're just rocking with food coloring in the relish these days. I think I'd be cool if it was a normal shade of green, but either way, to each their own. It's got the sweet peppers on it. It's got the pickle slices. It's okay. Here's the other thing. It comes with mustard. In Chicago, they'll like literally snipe you out of the sky if you say you want ketchup on your hot dog instead of mustard, but I did it anyway because I don't like mustard and I like ketchup. So luckily I survived it. Had to hide myself for a little bit.
yeah, so I'm looking at it right now, and so they'll put melted unsalted butter, tomato wedges,
Yeah, tomatoes. That's another one. Which I didn't mind. I didn't think it really made a difference.
Quote unquote sports peppers or peppercini. The split bun with the poppy seeds on it.
Which I really enjoyed the poppy seed element as well. I did.
Celery salt. Didn't know they had salt specifically for celery, but all right.
Okay.
The hot dog. A dill pickle spear.
Pretty big part of it is the hot dog itself.
Yeah. White onion, finely chopped. Glad they really add the detail there. The sweet relish, and then the yellow mustard. Which, I mean, yeah, I'd eat this. Now, I would like to put some ketchup on it, too.
I did. I said no mustard. And I didn't even ask for ketchup because, I've seen there's like T-shirts people wear that say if you put ketchup on your hot dog, like, you're a psychopath. And I was like, all right, I don't want to be in that group. I was just like, all right, no mustard. I want it. And he said, do you want ketchup on it instead? And I said, sure.
Fine, if you're going to offer.
I was like, if you're offering me, y'all were the ones who told me I was crazy if I want to ketchup on it since you asked. Yes, that is my answer. So, Chicago dog got a passing grade. Didn't change my life, but it was good. I was a little disappointed in the Chicago-style deep dish pizza because here's the thing, James, and I liked it and I enjoyed it, but I have always been a fan of this. I have made my own without having gone to Chicago. I have made my own. I followed a recipe because I really like sauce on my pizza. So I was like, this is right up my alley. I did my research, went to one of the popular spots. I mean, I think we're good to say the name of it here. Sponsorship, probably never going to happen from a Chicago place. So Lou Malnati's is where I went. It's one of the big ones. Even the locals will tell you, yeah, it's a pretty good spot. Just wasn't as deep as they make it out to be. It just
false advertisement.
It just seemed like thick crust pizza with the sauce on top. That's what it seemed like to me. Whereas, and I know that there's other places that do it a little differently. I wanted overly aggressively deep dish pizza because that's the whole thing, right? Theirs is the deepest ever. They're always talking about it. They're like, you might not even find the bottom. It's just so far down there. And that was not the case at all.
You wanted your pizza to be drowned.
I did not want to even find the bottom of the crust.
I don't blame you. I would have wanted that too.
And so for me, that's why that was an underwhelming experience. But outside of that, everything was good. All right, to the other sport part of the story. We've divided it up here. Woke up Saturday, did not have a bunch of plans. We did have like the riverboat tour, which, by the way, the architecture tour was hands down. And I, as a sports guy, crazy for me to say this, even over experiencing Wrigley Field, the architecture tour on the Chicago River was unbelievable. It was an awesome experience. I would do it again 100 times out of 100. So that was at night, and then we had a comedy show like late that night. So basically woke up Saturday like, hey, let's just figure out what we're doing. We won't have any plans, and we'll just figure it out. So I can't believe this happened to me because I am as much of a plan-ahead person, especially when it comes to sporting events. Like, that is me, as you all probably have gotten the sense of since you've been listening to the show. Saturday morning, woke up, started just kind of walking around. We were like, hey, let's just walk around the city. And then I said, hey, why don't we go down basically where our hotel was, Soldier Field, where the Bears play, was about a 30-ish minute walk, but the weather was decent. The rain was holding off to this point. I was like, why don't we walk towards the football stadium and just walk around and see it? And I actually looked up. This is how for whatever reason, it just slipped through the cracks for me. I looked up if they were doing stadium tours at Soldier Field on Saturday and came up, and it was like, nope, there's nothing until early September. And I was like, man, what a bummer. No stadium tour. So I start walking around the city, and my wife, Lauren, with me and all, and we're, just kind of taking it in, grab coffee at a little local spot. And I was like, man, there's a lot of, and I said this internally, I didn't even say it out loud. I was thinking to myself, there's a lot of people in Bears jerseys. I mean, I guess people are just excited for the start of the season. And the idiot that I was at this time, I look up after seeing maybe the fifth or sixth person in a Caleb Williams jersey walking around, and I went, wait, what if the Bears play today? And it was like 10:30 at this point, and we looked it up, and I went, the Bears play at noon at home in the preseason. Why would I have not thought to even check for that? So happy accident. Was like, I guess we're going to the Bears game because we were literally walking towards the stadium as this happened. So a complete just meltdown moment for my brain, but it worked out for the better. Had to search for tickets too. Again, I was like, this is a preseason game. I sat in the literal last row of the stadium. Okay. Obviously we weren't super worried about the view, right? To watch Tyson Bagent slinging around for the Bears against Deshaun Watson and the Browns. Deshaun Watson didn't look terrible. He and Shedeur obviously battling it out in Cleveland. That's going to be interesting. Caleb Williams was a scratch, of course, as most starting quarterbacks in the NFL were in game 1 of the preseason. But I will say this, sitting in the very last row at Soldier Field, not a bad view at all. It is one of the smaller venues. It's, of course, very old. It was built in the early 1920s. All the nods they have to the servicemen and women. Of course, it's called Soldier Field as a nod to servicemen and women of years past, present, and future. Really cool venue, though. Like, not cookie cutter at all. You know, one of my biggest complaints about modern stadiums is the cookie cutter approach where, and now there's like the new kind of modern cookie cutter where it's like, hey, yeah, we're going to build this big, crazy, elaborate glass structure that looks like the Raiders Stadium and the Rams Stadium and everything else. Soldier Field, despite the fact that maybe that is part of the reason, was built in the 20s, but it's still, they've done a nice job renovating. And my biggest takeaway was I'm bummed out that all the talk is about them moving, right? Of course, they want to build this new fantastic venue, whether right across the state borderline in Hammond, Indiana, or at another part in Arlington Park in a different part of Chicago. I was like, this is a piece of NFL history. It did not have the same level, like Lambeau Field, which I did, a year and a half ago when the Saints played the Packers the day before Christmas Eve. Lambeau Field felt like walking into a cathedral of the sport. It was different, it was also a Monday night game as opposed to preseason, but like Soldier Field was really, really cool. And from what I could see, I walked around the stadium a good bit. One of those places where you go, there's not really a bad view in this place. You'd think that would be more of a modern feature, right? You'd think in the 20s they weren't worried about what every seat's view looked like, but yet we got all these pictures from Bills seats that they literally just finished construction of that one, and they got beam posts blocking people's views all over the place. Wrigley Field, by the way, certainly does not fit the not a bad view in the stadium thing. They've got all those old post structures, which is classic and it's great, but there's certain spots, and luckily they'll tell you on the seats if you're going to buy tickets. It's like, hey, you're going to have a giant beam right in front of you if you buy this ticket. Are you cool with that? So I strayed away from those seats. But Soldier Field, great experience. Happy accident. Ended up there by a complete mistake. Did not even realize the Bears played. We'll spare you some detailed thoughts on Bears-Browns preseason football. But Deshaun Watson did look the better of the two Cleveland quarterbacks, if I'll at least bring that part up. And so, Chicago was cool, though. City as a whole, like some thoughts to it. Travel went well for me. Cities that have figured out transportation, Chicago's one of them. The bus was so easy. The train situation, basically, we took the train everywhere. I did not order a single Uber from the time I flew in to the time we left. I bought a 7-day pass, actually. So, by the way, if anybody needs to get anywhere in Chicago in the next 2 days, I think I've still got 2 days left on that train pass. So, free travel there in the city of Chicago. But from the airport to the hotel, to any ballpark we went to any attraction we went to, the river tours, we walked or took the train everywhere, and it was a breeze. And it never felt sketchy. It was cleaner than I thought it'd be. There are a lot of homeless people that will ask you crazy questions you've never been asked before, but hey, I'm from New Orleans, so none of that took me by surprise. So, big-time positive review. The biggest city I've ever been in, by the way. I was surprised to look it up and know Chicago's the third biggest city in the U.S. It makes sense, but also like it's only behind New York and L.A. population-wise. Massive, massive city as well, which, of course, also makes sense given the stat I just gave you. So there you go. That is D-Loh's travel trip to Chicago. In the books. For now, let's take a break. As I mentioned, there's some interesting, just kind of some of them random, some of them happy, some of them sad stories developing in the world of sports right now. Let's kind of go rapid fire through some of them after the break. You're listening to The LohDown.
This is The LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
With storm season in full swing, ESPN, Southwest Louisiana, and Mid-South Power Solutions in Crowley bring you hurricane safety tips. Make sure to secure your home and bring in outdoor items before the storm makes landfall. Have an emergency kit stocked with water, food, and medications. Know your evacuation routes and listen to local authorities. Stay informed with the battery-powered radio and make sure you have fresh batteries. Remember, safety is in your hands. These hurricane preparedness tips are powered by Mid-South Power Solutions in Crowley, your local Generac dealer. Visit midsouthpowersolutions.com.
ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is your home for the Houston Astros.
And the Astros stun the Mariners.
Hunter Brown, Yordan Alvarez, and the rest of the Astros are looking to get back to the postseason. You can listen to every pitch, hit, and thrilling victory of the Houston Astros. Incredible! As Robert Ford and Steve Sparks will be on the call. Tune in this season for live Astros baseball on Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It's 9 a.m. You just received a voicemail from your boss.
Hey, Janet. Heads up. We got an important meeting coming up Thursday. The big guys are coming into town, so I need you in charge of lunch, and we've got to look good.
Luckily for Janet, she knows a place, and she knows her boss will be impressed.
Honey Baked Ham can cater your next event. Delicious and freshly sliced deli trays, box lunches with sandwich, chips, and dessert. Or try our fresh salad boxes and the perfect touch with a meat and cheese tray. Honey Baked Ham Company.
Imagine building your dream backyard pool without ever leaving your couch. With Duplessis Builders, you can go shop our in-ground gunite pool packages online, start to finish. Browse our pool designs, compare features, see exactly what's included, and choose the package that fits your style and budget. Once you purchase, our team takes over. From permit and excavation to gunite decking and final startup, you click, we build, you swim. Your backyard upgrade is just a few clicks away. Visit duplessisbuilders.net and buy your pool online today.
Acadiana area businesses. Is it time to make an impact? Time for more traffic, more engagement, time for more customers? Then it's time to make a splash with Bass. Bass is now offering digital marketing, indoor and outdoor digital signage, billboards, and video production to help you reach more customers and close more business. For over 30 years, Bass has helped our customers tell their story. Bass Companies. Remember, a business without a sign is a sign of no business. Advertise with Bass. Find us around Acadiana or at bassltd.com.
On BritBox, your next hidden gem is right around the corner.
If you're going to be bold, here is the place to do it.
Get ready for Britain's most anticipated series, streaming exclusively on BritBox. Catch new seasons of favourites, including Ludwig, starring David Mitchell.
You want someone to get murdered?
And the eagerly awaited new adaptation of Agatha Christie's iconic detective duo, Tommy and Tuppence.
Do you think we're actually really good at this?
Stream the best of British TV on BritBox. Watch with a free trial.
The best time to recommit to your gut health goals? Right now. Take charge of your gut with Nature Made. Our clinically studied ingredients support digestive health. Digestive enzymes break down nutrients. Probiotic and prebiotic fiber nourish good gut bacteria. And super greens with probiotics empower daily digestive health. Try the full lineup of gut health support from Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
This is ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, broadcasting live from the Beal and Hebert studios in Upper Lafayette. Beal and Hebert, Acadiana's hometown lawyers. Back to more of Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
All right, mentioned it. Just a lot of stuff going on. It always feels, too, like if you take time away, especially in this line of work, that's when all the stuff decides to happen. It wasn't an overly crowded week of sports, of course. It's still the off-season in large regards with preseason stuff going on. But there are some things that went down. First of all, just at least want to acknowledge and talk a little bit about Skip Bertman, his passing. I know it's been well covered on our station. Jordy Holtberg, of course, done a great job talking a lot about it, talking to a lot of people who knew Skip well and getting some great perspective there on the morning show. But man, what a legend. What a legend he is. And it's ironic enough, seeing some of the impact of what LSU baseball was built in to be and seeing what some of the, I'm a person who just loves college baseball as a whole, right? And I've talked about this on the show a good bit. And the sport today, there's no doubt in my mind, the sport today would not be as successful and not grown to the level that it has without Skip Bertman's influence on it. And there's others that go into that same category. I'm also very familiar with the work of Mike Martin from my time at FSU and learning about him. And his son was coaching the team at the time I was there, and so seeing the history that Mike Martin, what he meant to Florida State, but what he meant to college baseball. And Skip Bertman's certainly in that same category, one of the pioneers and one of the true legends of the sport. And then you also saw on the same, not on the same day, but not that far past it, we now got the news this morning. that in the world of ESPN, and of course us being an ESPN affiliate, that Bill Rasmussen passed away, the founder of ESPN and a pioneer in that industry so long ago. So many different, I mean, you think about what ESPN's grown into, of course, versus what it started as. An incredible story in its own right as well. On maybe a little bit of a happier note, right? Trey Mancini retired. Maybe not happy enough that he's retiring, but Trey Mancini, a player who Astros fans will remember, made a great diving catch on the first base line. I can see it in my head right now that helped the Astros win a World Series in 2022. But Trey Mancini was maybe more importantly a cancer survivor who not only beat cancer, then went back to play in a World Series in Major League Baseball after coming back from it, and was not the greatest initial prognosis either. Like Mancini had some, an aggressive form of cancer, and to do what he did in his career after the fact, I think that is certainly worth celebrating, and wanted to bring that up, wishing him the best, the very best in retirement after a good baseball career, a good Major League Baseball career regardless, but an incredible Major League Baseball career given the fact that he battled back from that illness and, is, such an inspiration for so many people that are going through treatments and things every day. We've all, we've talked on this show, I've talked about it before, the impacts of cancer, and everyone has somebody that is either close to them or, in their family or themselves that has been impacted by it. And so, incredible example of the perseverance and the courage that Mancini showed. And so want to celebrate his career a little bit on a day that he announces his retirement. Here's a story from the prep ranks. As I said, we're going all over the place here. And I know James Mesh loves it when I talk about the Haynes Academy Yellow Jackets, but stay with me. This one has a little bit more relevance to it. My alma mater, my high school team, has a new starting quarterback. They just named their starter, and he wears number 9, and his name is Breeze. And I am serious about that. His last name's not Breeze. His first name is Breeze. So think about that. Breeze Westerfield is his name, by the way. He's a sophomore quarterback, I believe. I think I have the year right. That just earned the starting job for Haynes. So maybe to make some of us feel old, that's fair, right? Because I watched Drew Brees' entire career, especially in New Orleans, in my lifetime. Someone who is named after Drew Brees is going to be playing quarterback for a high school football team in New Orleans this fall. Pretty cool storyline as well there. And Haynes, hey, playoff victory, first playoff win for the football program happened last year. When I was there, we went to our first ever playoff game because it was a very new school, so they've continued to build on it. Coach P.J. Sprunk, shout out to the Yellow Jackets, looking like they've got a squad this year, and they got a quarterback named Breeze who's going to wear number 9. So I think those things will all work out in their favor, starting the season off with some good vibes there. All right, we'll do this. We'll take another break. As we mentioned, this is kind of a wide open hour number 2. There are some more things in the world of college football that are coming around here. We do have some audio, as a matter of fact, from Lane Kiffin as well at their most recent press conference. So let's go ahead, take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll give some thoughts on the way fall camp is developing for a couple of the local teams we cover and more. That's next. You're listening to the LohDown, ESPN Southwest Louisiana Sports Station.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It's that time of the show where you're probably going to get a little hungrier, and that's okay because it's from our friends over at Small Sliders in Lafayette. They got a cool promotion going on right now. It is, how about this? I know plenty of you listening out there have kids, always looking for a way to keep the kids occupied, satisfied, happy, doing fun things. Well, they've got a little movie night feature going on. So after Paw Patrol, the Dino movie, they've got a promotion. If you show a valid movie ticket stub, you get yourself a free combo. So if you go out and you see Paw Patrol, you're catching a movie at the theater, you want to get lunch or dinner right after the fact, just stroll right on over to Small Sliders, 2 locations in the Lafayette area, Ambassador Caffrey and Bertrand Drive. Show your movie ticket stub and get a free kids combo with the purchase of a combo at our friends at Small Sliders. It's valid between August 14th and the 18th, so that's through today. So you still have time to do it, but it's got to be today. You can get yourself a free kids combo if you're going to see the Paw Patrol movie, the Dino movie version of Paw Patrol, at our friends over at Small Sliders of Lafayette. Of course, as always, you can slide through any day. Tell them D-Loh sent you. It means a lot. That's Small Sliders of Lafayette.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we got to go fast now.
The AL West leading Houston Astros open up a series with division rivals, the Los Angeles Angels, tonight in Daikin Park. The Angels will go with George Klassen on the mound tonight against Christian Javier for Houston. First pitch between the Halos and the Astros is at 7:10 p.m. tonight, and you can listen to it on News Talk 98.5 FM and 1520 AM. Around the AL West tonight, the Athletics will take on the Kansas City Royals. The Seattle Mariners will be at the Milwaukee Brewers, and the Washington Nationals will be at the Texas Rangers. Houston still sits in first place in the division with a 2-game lead over the Rangers. Some bad news for the Saints came out yesterday as it was announced that recent first-round pick Jordan Tyson is expected to be out for around 2 months. The injury that will sideline Tyson is a hamstring injury he sustained last week in practice. Head coach Kellen Moore did tell the media, though, that this injury is separate and not linked to the one he sustained in the spring. The first AP poll of the college football season dropped yesterday, with LSU sitting just outside the top 10 at number 11. The Tigers have ranked inside the top 15 in both major preseason polls, coming in at number 13 in the coaches poll. At the top of the AP rankings, Ohio State takes the number 1 spot, followed by Oregon at number 2, Georgia at number 3, Notre Dame at number 4, and Texas rounding out the top 5. Pete Crow Armstrong made Cubs history last night as he became the first player in franchise history to hit a leadoff and walk-off home run in the same game. He's also the first player since 2010 to accomplish the feat. I'm Blake Purser, and you're listening to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, your home for the LSU Tigers and the Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. Do you need more of the fellas here on Southwest Louisiana's sports station? Of course you do. So go make sure and subscribe to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles YouTube channel at ESPN_SWLA. Don't forget to turn that bell on so you get notifications for new episodes of Four Tire Change Podcast, where Dawson Iserloh talks all things NASCAR, or Cleats and Sneaks with James Mesh. Get yourself more of Southwest Louisiana's sports station at ESPN_SWLA on YouTube.
Whether it's a tempting text message or a quick glance at your GPS, taking your eyes off the road for just a moment can have serious consequences. This includes turning around or reaching down. Distracted driving includes eating or putting on makeup. Distracted driving is anything that diverts your attention from driving. I'm Lorraine Luquette Vinoy with Service Chevrolet Cadillac, encouraging you to drive smart, drive safe, and keep those eyes on the road, Acadiana. This message is powered by Service Chevrolet Cadillac and this radio station, where safety meets style on the road.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house. I also know that I will be one of the first to respond if my community ever needs me.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard, aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Oh, look who's here.
Everybody Loves Raymond is on MeTV.
Who told you that?
Raymond!
America's #1 classic TV network.
Nothing even comes close.
Enjoy 2 back-to-back episodes every weeknight.
We're doing it twice.
Watch Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, it's all about you, Raymond.
Weeknights starting at 8 on MeTV.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
We are the NFHS. That stands for the National Federation of State High School Associations. But really, what we stand for, together with the LHSAA, are the 110,000 high school sports students in Louisiana. And so we stand. We stand for the runners, soccer, and basketball players. We stand for their coaches, administrators, and officials. We stand for the swimmers, football players, and wrestlers. We stand for the golfers, softball, and volleyball players. We stand as the national leader and advocate for high school athletics and all who participate in them and make them possible. Because it is our purpose to ensure that high school students get to play, perform, and compete together. To learn more about who we are and what we stand for, visit nfhs.org.
helping you get through your workday. This is ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
All right, we're back here on the LohDown. Tuesday edition of the show is rolling on, and we got a caller on the ESPN hotline. Our friend Ralph is on the line. Ralph, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, D-Loh, how are you today, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Welcome back from Chicago.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just a quick question, because, with the internet and Twitter and whatever, you never really know what you're reading. Well, sometimes you do know, but if it's real or a parody account or whatnot. But I was looking, maybe like 2 days ago, I saw something that said that some of the players in NFL training camps who might be getting cut but have a fifth year of college eligibility might be getting recruited by college teams. And is that really a possibility?
Kind of, yeah. So I definitely think it's actually being talked about, Ralph. I will say this, and it was interesting, like talking to Coach Des about it last week. There's probably different approaches from it from different coaching staffs. The Cajuns are kind of taking the approach of it's just so risky to try and entertain some of these ideas. But no, there's other teams that have already done it. Now, the big question is if you were in an NFL camp, if you signed an NFL contract at some point, even if you didn't make the team, you technically don't have eligibility there. But their thought is like, well, everybody gets these court cases and gets these things overturned, so why not try? So I do not doubt that teams are exploring it. But I do wonder if at some point we're going to have a blanket ruling, or if one of the NCAA's emergency appeals actually lands, although I think there's some real doubt that they're going to get anything done there. But no, I bet it's being talked about for sure. Just don't know if it's going to come to reality.
Just when I thought I couldn't hate things happening anymore the way, it is in college football, I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, okay, well, then I guess if that's the case, then for sure you have to let Will Wade sign the professional players that he recruited for the college team. I mean, gosh, I'm so confused now.
Well, I think everyone is.
Okay. All right, but I just couldn't believe when I read that, but here we go.
Yeah, here we go is correct. So I appreciate the call from Ralph. I'll expand on it a little more, okay? So I asked Coach Des this question last week because plenty of you have probably seen the 5-for-5 thing that got passed, and we understand that. But as is the problem with any, judicial ruling, law that's made, go back to prohibition. Bet you didn't think I was going to get that into the show today. Go back to prohibition, right? When they made alcohol illegal, they can't go back and then say, well, if you were drinking alcohol last year, you're now in trouble. Well, okay, it wasn't a rule last year. So it's the same thing now, but it gets a little different when players and people can go, well, wait a minute, this is a financial opportunity that was taken away from me as a result of this ruling. So I now feel like I have the right to maybe create a lawsuit and get these damages back. And I've taken law classes, but I am by no means a law expert, and I have not taken or passed the bar, so I can't give you any legal advice or speak to these things, right, from a legal standpoint. But now you have these players that have basically gone back and said, if 5-for-5 is a rule moving forward, why can't I reap the benefits of it? And so that's what you had, that original ruling that said basically, well, players can go ahead and get a fifth year of eligibility since this, legal ruling happened after everything was all said and done. The Cajuns' case, the one that they discussed and talked about bringing in, was Trey Tomlinson. Trey Tomlinson did not get drafted by an NFL team. Trey Tomlinson did not go to an NFL training camp. I think he had some interest in going up to Canada and playing. I don't know exactly if he played in any sort of professional camp or games or anything like that in the Canadian League or anything like that, but that was the one where he was interested in. I don't know if he contacted the Cajuns or if they contacted him and said, hey, you heard about this 5-for-5 thing. Am I eligible? Could I maybe play? And, Coach explained to me, he's like, there's just so many different hurdles where you're talking about what if he comes back and we don't necessarily have a roster spot for him right now. So if we make him walk onto the team, well, that's one thing. Well, then he's not getting paid. Then do we find a way to pay him? Whatever. Past that, all right, next hurdle. What if this gets overturned at some point and we've spent all this time and money to like get him back on the team and then all of a sudden we lose him again? Is there any sort of thing where you go, hey, if you play with an ineligible player, you may have to forfeit a game? I don't think it would get to that, but they still have to think about those types of things. The Cajuns have a self-imposed 85 scholarship limit. What is that going to look like if they try and add one to it? There was just all these different question marks. So there are ones. The one I know of off the top of my head that has already gone the way of bringing a guy back is Stephen Daly at Indiana, who had the injury in the college football playoffs, and that's why he didn't end up getting picked up by an NFL team, and he is supposedly returned to Indiana, and I think they're expecting him to be eligible. I do think it's a little different from the LSU stuff, where Will Wade, essentially most of the players, there is one exception, I believe, that played an NBA game, but most of the players that Will Wade has tried to get eligibility for played professionally in other countries, and so that's become an interesting topic of conversation as well. Where does that comparison point stand? Where you say, okay, because on one hand, I am kind of with Ralph on it, where I go, you know what, man? You play professional sports, you lose the right to play college sports. I don't think it's that crazy of an idea. It's the same way if you play college football, you can't all of a sudden go back next year and play for STM. That seems pretty simple, pretty straightforward. But it does get a little dicey when you start to go, well, wait a minute. We're already acknowledging in a lot of ways that this isn't really amateur sports anymore, right? If a player's being paid $3 million, which we know there's salaries supposedly north of $5 million, even though salary is not the right word, players are being compensated north of $5 million in some places with their NIL and their rev share agreements and all these other things. If a player made a few $100,000 playing for the Spain Thunderbirds or whatever their basketball team was called over there. That's not a real team, by the way. Don't look them up. Then how is that any different from a player who made a couple million playing college ball last year? And if this guy now gets a chance to come back and play in the States, shouldn't he have that opportunity? I'm not sitting here saying definitively I think yes or no. I still do ultimately subscribe to the idea once you accept professional the duty, and when you sign that contract, here's the thing. It's not like anybody who went and played basketball overseas signed that overseas contract with the idea that they were going to come back and play college basketball. They all signed those contracts thinking that their time playing the college game was done, and they knew at the time that when they signed that, they were no longer going to have the ability to play college sports. So I get why there's an argument to be had. I don't think it's like the dumbest thing in the world to sit there and ask the question, well, wait a minute, if they were making way less and now they have an opportunity to make more, should this be allowed? But there's also an element of Pandora's box involved. And it's overused phrase, but putting the tube back in the toothpaste jar, man. I mean, it's not really a jar, more of a tube. There we go. If you keep your toothpaste in a jar, maybe we'll have to have a different conversation. But it's an easy analogy to understand, right? You squeeze that toothpaste out on the kitchen counter. Now go ahead and try and put it back in there. Use a Q-tip, use a toothpick, use your finger, whatever you want. It's not going to be an efficient process, okay? And so if we have this blanket eligibility thing that basically says all bets are off, so that's the funniest thing about these things, right? We can all ask ourselves, like, where is the point of no return? Where's the point where it gets silly? In a very nuanced conversation between a set of eligibility requirements of what a player is and isn't able to do through a certain age and through certain other experiences. But then you have to ask yourself, well, when is too far? And right now it might seem really simple. Well, if they've played professional sports, that's probably too far. And for me, that's why I still think I would side on the idea that they should all be ineligible. Because how far are we? And I am not saying this, like, obviously I'm saying it tongue in cheek, but it's not a ridiculous question to ask, to then ask yourself, well, if those players get eligibility, what is stopping LeBron James from next year after his retirement going, you know what, I'm kind of bored. I might try and go play for Akron in the MAC conference. And that sounds ridiculous, right? It is rather ridiculous. But it's not that far away. As far as if you're allowing eligibility for the players who played overseas, then anyone who hasn't played 4 years of college athletics, or 5 years now in this case, all those one-and-done guys in the NBA could all sit there and go, wait a minute, I should have 3 years left. All of them could say that. And we all joke about college eligibility. If you remember J.R. Smith, who didn't play college basketball, went straight to the league. After he was done playing basketball, got eligible to play college golf, went to an HBCU and played on a college golf team. Because the argument was, well, yeah, I know I don't have any eligibility to go play college basketball because I gave that up by playing pro, but I never played professional golf. Why can't I be on the golf team? And he did it, and he won, and he played college golf. So how far past this, and I say the LeBron one because it's a joke. I'm pretty sure, you never know 100% with LeBron. I'm pretty confident LeBron would never want to do something like that. But where's that layer? What about a player? What if Jordan Hawkins of the Pelicans, let's use him as an example, right? NBA career hasn't gone great yet. What if he all of a sudden was like, man, wait a minute. Do I have 2 years left in college? Why don't I go be a sharpshooter for UConn? I liked eating at the cafeteria at Connecticut. Like, where would that line be drawn? So I didn't plan to do this whole deep dive today, but I'm glad Ralph brought it up because I did want to talk about that at some point, and we're getting closer to really having to ask silly questions to ourselves. But as we all know, there has been no rhyme or reason to many of the decisions that have been made over the last handful of years. And the NCAA washed their hands of it and said, all right, you guys win. NIL's allowed. Do what you want. And ever since then, you know what's been happening? Everybody's been doing what they want. And that hasn't gone so great, has it? All right, we'll take a break here. I will circle back to a little fall camp updates. We'll talk about on-field stuff, I promise. Lane Kiffin spoke to the media. We'll play you a couple clips from him. I've also heard a couple things at a Cajuns camp. Coach Des spoke to the media right as I was going on the airwaves. So we'll discuss that as we close out this Tuesday edition of LohDown. You're listening to ESPN Southwest Louisiana Sports Station. Don't go anywhere.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Here at ESPN 103.7 Lafayette, 104.1 Lake Charles, we know you can't get enough sports in your life. Go ahead, subscribe to our YouTube channel, ESPN Southwest Louisiana. Turn the bell on to get notifications. It's free to subscribe. I always like to remind people of that. There's no subscription fee. There's nothing like that. It is free. All it does is make sure that you get our videos sent to your inbox whenever we post them. We are streaming shows live every single day. We have our YouTube shorts that go up, press conference clips, the podcast series that we have that are long running. Those all go up. It's all in one spot. It's all at ESPN_SWLA on YouTube. So go ahead and subscribe.
ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is the proud winner of 4 2026 LAB Prestige Awards, including Best Use of Digital Media, Foot's Friday Fury, Best Live On-Site Remote for our Super Bowl Radio Road coverage, Best Promotion for our No Shave November initiative, and Radio Young Professional of the Year for Dawson Iserloh. We're proud of being Southwest Louisiana's sports station and are humbled to be recognized by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters.
The heart of Acadiana is its local businesses, the people, families, and companies that help our communities thrive. Here's a message from a proud certified South Louisiana business.
Candyland Cottage is the place to satisfy all your cravings. Find delicious ice creams, fresh fudges, truffles, hot dogs, sausage po' boys, Frito pies, and homemade shakes. Visit us in Scott and Rain for a sweet treat. Plan your next birthday party or field trip at Candyland Cottage.
Shop local, support local. Certified South Louisiana.
Are you looking for an eye expert? Well, visit Acadiana Optics in Broussard, locally owned, founded, and operated by Broussard native Dr. Lindsay Dugas. From comprehensive eye exams for glasses and contacts to diabetic exams, pediatric eye care, emergency eye care, cataract and LASIK evaluations, Acadiana Optics provides family eye care for all vision needs. Enjoy state-of-the-art technology, designer frame selections, prescription Maui Jim sunglasses, and custom glasses and contacts. Acadiana Optics in Broussard. Call today to schedule your appointment.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
MeTV is America's #1 classic entertainment television network. And here's one of the reasons everybody loves MeTV.
Oh, it's a classic.
The great comedy lineup on weeknights.
This will be fun. Come on.
With MASH.
Loaded with snappy comebacks.
The Andy Griffith Show.
I was just funning with Barney.
And Everybody Loves Raymond.
Now we got a show.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
You like saving money, right? We all do. That's why Allstate just lowered the price of car insurance. Not, but wait, there's a catch. Lower. Actually lower. So if you're shopping around or just want to see how much you could save, check Allstate first for a new lower auto rate that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Not available in every state. Only applicable for new auto insurance business. Rates will vary by several factors, including how you purchase the policy. Potential savings vary. Allstate North American Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
You know the routine. Eat, sleep, sports talk, repeat.
Well, up and at 'em. We're here.
Here is more daily sports talk from ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles.
Yeah, we've evolved in that, in how we talk, and they make a lot of money, a lot of them now, and so to me there's a little difference in there. If you get what part of your motivation was, are you still motivated? And so, we work through that, the way that we talk to them, the things that we point to, but also I think in a way, people talk about all the problems with them making money, which there are problems that come with that. There's also a good side too, because I think they feel more like it's a big job versus, I just have a scholarship, and I kind of show up and do football, part-time. I think they do take it more serious that way and realize, hey, if I don't play well, I'm probably not going to make that next year. And if I play well, I'm going to make more versus I just have the same scholarship. Kind of just how a lot of humans work, if you think about it.
That was Lane Kiffin over the weekend. It was actually an interesting answer to that question, right? Being asked about players and the fact that they're making money. Does that increase the urgency, right? And it is something I guess we've thought about it to an extent, but it is interesting. And I go back to this, like I've had, a couple people pretty close to me that played college sports, and I always use the story. I don't think he minds me talking about him. My cousin did not love the game of football. He just was a very big person who was really, really athletically gifted. And so he played on a full scholarship at Tulane for 4 years, but he never loved it. And football was means to an end for him. He did it because he was really good at it, and it was a way for him to get an incredible education at a school like Tulane, which also gave him a great one. And so I actually compare this to him. I do wonder, if there was an opportunity, if he saw the writing on the wall that basically was in there that said, hey, man, if you have a great season this year, we got $1 million for you, or maybe let's make it a more realistic number, $200,000, $300,000 maybe is available at this other school. If you grind, if you show us you have a great year, I wonder how much better that might have made him, right? Because, he had an okay college career. He played in some games. He was never a consistent starter, and he was very honest after the fact about it. You know what? I did what I had to do to get by because football was something for me that I was really good at, but I didn't love it the way I probably needed to love it to get the best out of me, right? So it was an interesting way that Kiffin described that about now that these players are in this, and some of them might have said, yeah, to that extent. I'm a good player. I'm maybe never going to be a great player. I'm going to do what's asked of me. I'm going to do what I'm told, but this is going to be a way to pay for my school, and it's cool because I get to be a part of the LSU football team, and I get to do all the fun stuff, but it is what it is. Now these guys are sitting there going, man, if I have a good year, not only is that going to be better for my future, I could make some real money next season, or I better have a good year because my spot on this team is by no means guaranteed, because I'm getting paid to be here. And if I'm not being productive, then I'm not only no longer going to get paid, I'm not going to have a spot on this roster in the future. So that was an interesting way of Kiffin describing it after the scrimmages that took place over the weekend. Here's how he answered an interesting question in the same right? How do you determine at this point in the year? We know there's no preseason in college football, which I still think is a little ridiculous. I think there should be at least one organized scrimmage for every team. But how do you determine if your team's making progress? This is what Lane had to say.
Well, there's a lot of things. I mean, we really try to look at individual players, where they're at, and then from there groups, and then from there sides of the ball. And then what roles can we start to mold people into? We try to look at not just week 1, but week 3, week 5, week 7. Maybe there's players that aren't projecting to maybe be ready for certain roles, but maybe they will be because they're younger players or struggling to learn. So we're in constant meetings about that and trying always to fit pieces and figure out where somebody can take a few plays off of some situation of someone else.
So it will be certainly interesting to see what this LSU team starts to come together with and starts to look like. The last one from Kiffin is about that freshman D-line. Zach Nagy brought it to our attention last week. It's starting to get some buzz, right? There's going to be some youngsters that are playing significant snaps for the Tigers in the interior of that defensive line. Kiffin was asked, does that concern you?
Yeah, I do. I mentioned it before, study everything. We do. If you study old teams win now. And I just think that's the maturity of the player, especially the 4th, 5th year player, and how they think and what's important to them. And they're used to playing too. They're veterans. Even in the NFL, obviously the 5th year player plays different than the rookie usually. So there's a lot of concern there. And so, how much can we get them ready to do? And that they play really well versus the mistakes that they make, especially because of our schedule, the opener and the ninth SEC game. You don't have those games that, you had those opportunities before.
So Kiffin is a little concerned about how young this team is, but at the same time, we've already seen it. Like, some of those guys are winning jobs up front, and that's a good thing in some ways. But there you go. Kiffin does have some concerns about it as well. On the Cajun side of things, they did actually not get any votes in the AP poll. You may have seen this over the weekend when the AP poll came out, or maybe it was early yesterday morning, and it had the Cajuns in the receiving votes category. And I saw it, and I certainly was surprised. But I was like, well, I know how the AP poll works. You've got 50-something voters on it. So if one person maybe is high on Lunch Winfield and thinks the Cajuns have a shot to do something and they put them in there, then they'll get a few votes at the bottom of this thing. Turns out it was actually not true. The votes were for Louisville, and they were mistakenly allocated. So Cajuns not receiving votes. They had those votes taken away, which I thought was a bummer. We did get some more injury updates. Landon Strother had surgery, which Jamarcus Fitzpatrick had already previously reported about. Braylon Walker also had surgery. He's a freshman corner from the area, local product. He's going to be out a while as well. But other than that, hopefully the Cajuns are continuing to get healthier and on the upside of things. And so far, so good on the lines of scrimmage, which is a big thing. We know Cajuns have had some trouble there in the past. So we will we'll get a little bit closer to that. Exciting that the season is almost here. And look, I think very interesting to analyze both of these teams and where they're at. And, of course, we'll throw McNeese into that category as well. They've got some interesting things happening. Their season's starting earlier with the Week 0 game. So football is close. It is approaching. Objects in your mirror may be closer than they appear, and that is certainly the case right now for the football season. So that will do it for us here on a Tuesday afternoon of the show. Appreciate you for tuning in. It's good to be back. I will be back the rest of the week, by the way. It is a normal week of shows. Thursday's show is going to be a little bit of a hybrid with some of my favorite interviews from Canton and things of that nature, but also some original segments. So it's a normal week for the most part, 1 to 3 p.m. each and every day right here on these same stations. Thanks to James Mesh for producing it and getting us in the right direction all day long. Thank you to our two guests today, both of them back in the first hour, the radio voice of the New York Giants, Lance Meadow. As we continued our Preview 32 series, we previewed the season for Jackson Dart and the Giants. And our friend Bryce Kuhn, who's going to be joining us every Tuesday to talk college football. He is the host of the Crowded Booth podcast. Until tomorrow, that'll do it. Astros and Angels with a nighttime start tonight. That one's over on News Talk. We've got Tiger Rag Radio on this station. AFR, though, is up next. You're listening to ESPN 103.7 in Lafayette, 104.1 in Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana sports station.
Need peace of mind with your estate planning? Turn to Bill and Hebert, your trusted Acadiana hometown lawyers. At Bill and Hebert, we make estate planning simple and stress-free.